Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace of God be upon you. Now we see comments of some non-Muslim legends concerning Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. Nobody can ever get the entire humanity as his foes or friends and followers. The following quotes reveal the fact, as the greatness of God's messenger, Muhammad has made such great impacts and left imprints to the world which compelled the intellectuals of the world to express their opinions in the golden words regarding his eminence. Due to their ignorance, some of common peoples around the world have given out their views against his personality and greatness. However, the fact behind their opinions is their biasness and denial of the truth, acceptable to world intellectuals and any smart-minded persons. About his leadership qualities, Sir George Bernard Shaw said, "If any religion had the chance of ruling over England and Europe within the next 100 years, it could be Islam. I have always held the religion of Muhammad in high estimation because of its wonderful vitality. It is the only religion which appears to me to possess that assimilating capacity to the changing phase of existence which can make itself appeal to every age. I have studied him, the wonderful man, and in my opinion, far from being an the Messiah, he must be called the savior of humanity. I believe that if a man like him were to assume the dictatorship of the modern world, he would succeed in solving its problems in a way that would bring it the much-needed peace and happiness." Michael Hart said, "My choice of Muhammad to lead the list of the world's most influential persons may surprise some readers and may be questioned by others, but he was the only man in history who was supremely successful on both the secular and religious level. It is this unparalleled combination of secular and religious influence which I feel entitles Muhammad to be considered the most influential single figure in human history." J.W.H. Stobart also said, "Judged by the smallness of the means at his disposal and the extent and permanence of the work that he accomplished, and his name in world's history shines with a more specious luster than that of the Prophet of Makkah. To the impulse which he gave, numberless dynasties have owed their existence, and wide-pine provinces became bold to the faith. Fair cities and stately palaces and temples have arisen, and wide provinces became obedient to the faith. And beyond all this, his words have governed the belief of generations, been accepted as their rule of life and their certain guide to the world to come. Judged by the standards of human renown, the glory of what mortal can compare with his?" Furthermore, Jules Masserman commented, "Perhaps the greatest leader of all times was Muhammad, who combined all the three functions." About military abilities, Pandit Gyanendra Dev Sharma Shastri said, "The critics are blind. They cannot see that the only sword Muhammad wielded was the sword of mercy, compassion, friendship, and forgiveness. The sword that conquers enemies and purifies their hearts. His sword was sharper than the sword of steel. But the biased critics of Islam are prejudicial and partisan, who are narrow-minded and whose eyes are covered by a veil of ignorance. They see fire instead of light, ugliness instead of beauty, and evil instead of good. It reflects their own depravity. They distort and present every good quality as a great vice. It reflects their own depravity." Sikh journalist too related, "In the beginning, the Prophet's enemies made life difficult for him and his followers. So the Prophet asked his followers to leave their homes and migrate to Medina. He preferred migration to fighting his own people. But when oppression went beyond the pale of tolerance, he took up his sword in self-defense. Those who believe religion can be spread by force are fools who neither know the ways of religion nor the ways of the world. They are proud of this belief because they are a long, long way away from the truth." Again, concerning the lifestyles and character of Prophet Muhammad, the following comments were provided. Professor K.S. Ramakrishna Rao said, "An honest man, as the saying goes, is the noblest work of God. Muhammad was more than honest. He was human to the marrow of his bones. Human sympathy, human love was the music of his soul. To serve man, to elevate man, to purify man, to educate man, in a word, to humanize man. This was the object of his mission, the be-all and end-all of his life. In thought, in word, and action, he had the good of humanity as his sole inspiration, his sole guiding principle." Professor Will Durant said, "If we evaluate this great man's effect on people, we have to say that Prophet Muhammad is one of the greatest men in the human history. He sought to raise the knowledge level and ethic of people who had become barbarized due to highly intensive warmth and drought of desert. He attained such a success that is more than any other world reformer's success. We can hardly find a man who has fulfilled all of his religious causes. He succeeded since he believed in religion. He unified the infidel outspread tribes to organize the Ummah, a unified nation." The professor said also, "If greatness is measured by influence, Muhammad is the greatest of the great in history." A French thinker as well said, "The Holy Prophet Muhammad indubitably was a great man. He was a mighty conqueror, a wise legislator, a just king, and a pious prophet. He fulfilled the greatest possible role in front of ordinary people on the earth." W.C. Taylor also had a say, So great was his liberality to the poor that he often left his household unprovided, nor did he content himself with relieving their wants. He entered into conversation with them and expressed a warm sympathy for their sufferings. He was a firm friend and a faithful ally. Again, Dr. Gustav Weil commented, he was accessible to all and at all times. He visited the sick and was full of sympathy for all. Unlimited was his benevolence and generosity, as also was his anxious care for the welfare of the community. Michener presented, no other religion in history spread so rapidly as Islam. The West has widely believed that this surge of religion was made possible by the sword. But no modern scholar accepts this idea, and the Quran is explicit in the support of the freedom of conscience. So far as we know, Muhammad was unable to read or write, but he began to dictate those inspired words which would soon revolutionize a large segment of the earth. Professor K.S. Ramakrishna Rao came again with another comment, as he said, the principles of universal brotherhood and doctrine of the equality of mankind which he proclaimed represents one very great contribution of Muhammad to the social uplift of humanity. All great religions have preached the same doctrine, but the Prophet of Islam had put this theory into actual practice, and its value will be fully recognized. Perhaps centuries hence, when international consciousness being awakened, racial prejudices may disappear and greater brotherhood of humanity come into existence. The next lesson will be miracles of Prophet Muhammad if God wishes. Please, more likes, comments, and shares. My cameraman loves you all.